Good morning. At this very moment, humans around the globe are doom scrolling social media feeds. 65% of the world population uses social media, and they spend on average 2.5 hours a day, with Gen Z bumping that up to 4 hours a day, which I remind you is half a workday of precious attention spent on a screen. Social media accounts for over a third of all daily online activity for the 5 billion people who use it around the world. And what used to be text posts on Twitter has evolved into short form videos from creators on endless feeds on TikTok, Insta, and others. You get news, entertainment, education and advice, lifestyle and wellness, culture and arts, commerce and unboxing, social and political discourse, storytelling and personal narratives, and of course, thirst traps, attractiveness focused posts. But rapid advances in AI generated video foretell a new possibility: a personalized feed where every post, video, or ad is generated by AI for you as an audience of one. This is generative social media. And will it become an extension of human connection and creativity, or accelerate the drift toward isolation? Our discussion today will weigh the promises and perils of this AI native future on screens in our pocket or beamed directly into our eyes by our AI glasses. It's Monday, August 4th, 2025, and this is the Daily AI Show. I'm joined by Brian, Beth, and Junmi today. And we're talking about a new screen world, which, rather than relying on human creators, has AI algorithms with advanced video generation and real-time AI avatar hosts that can assemble personalized news, education, entertainment, shopping previews, and even synthetic friends who argue or celebrate alongside us. What do you think? Brian, where did this come from? This is a great idea.
So this actually comes from something that both Carl and actually Aaron shared with us. And that is pretty frequently now we're getting these blogs that come out from Y Combinator. If you don't know who Y Combinator is, Sam Altman used to be the head of it. I think that's like a rotating position. I'm not quite sure how that works exactly, but they invest in companies. And what they've been doing with AI now multiple times a year, because the last one only came out, I think it's probably at least quarterly, but it might even be monthly at this point. They come out with suggestions and they go, hey, this is where we think things are going. If you're building in this space, if you're already working towards some sort of SaaS or solution or app or something, reach out, because we might be able to invest in you. We might be able to send a little money your way. These are the kind of things we're excited about. Now, I will say this one article probably will generate 3 or 4 different shows. But for this show, as Andy, said so nicely in the intro, there is really about video generation as a primitive. And we're even going to dive a little bit deeper than just that idea, because that's a little bit more broad as an idea. And he says in his video here that I want to play really quick, that it's video as a building block, not the output. It's actually the thing you're building with, and it's a change, right? But when I play this, it's like maybe a minute long, this YouTube short. I want you guys to focus on what he talks about when he gets into the YouTube. It comes in about halfway into the video, but I think the whole thing is really interesting and certainly will set us up for this topic. So let me go ahead and get this started.
Video generation models are getting really good. Google's Veo 3 already produces 8-second photorealistic.
Pretty hard to hear that.
For just a few dollars per video.
Did you guys say you can't hear that?
Not
It
very
sounds
well.
like it's playing
Through
in
my
your
mic?
room and being picked up by your mic as opposed to audio shared.
Give me 1 second. That could possibly be a Perplexity comment issue. Maybe it's not pulling up things. I'm going to pull it up in Chrome. Yeah, real quick, if you guys don't mind, and we'll see if that solves the problem. Thanks for letting me know on that. Actually, I had that open in Chrome. I wonder why that didn't. You guys couldn't play the. Let me stop sharing and start one more time. If not, we'll do. You know what? Here we go. We'll make it easier. This is what it says in the summary of it. It is a good video. I recommend it. It's a YouTube short. I guess I could pull it up that way. But this is what it says in the summary. It says, soon you'll be able to generate near perfect footage of anything on the fly for a marginal cost approaching zero. Talking about video. It'll become the new basic building block of software. When this happens, a lot of new ideas become possible, of which we're going to talk about one of them. It's definitely going to change media and entertainment. Imagine being able to create a brand new season of your favorite canceled TV show or a personalized kids cartoon starring your own family as characters. Or, and this is the thing we want to talk about, an AI native successor to TikTok, where every video is made for exactly one viewer. Video generation will also change how we buy things. This is part of the conversation. Imagine you're shopping online. You'll be able to see yourself wearing clothes, products, browsing, apartment hunting. It shows that all your furniture is already in there. And then it gets into video games and stuff like that. So what I found really interesting in this, I'm actually even going to pull up on the side here, some other ideas just to kind of get the brain flowing on a Monday morning here and make for some good conversation and what you guys think this could be. Number one, I don't see this as, I want to, from my perspective, I do not see this as a replacement for social media. I think the Facebooks of the world and the Instagrams of all coexist along with this new thing. So it's not like, I know the first thing would be like, oh, well, it's even going to put people more isolated and all of that. No, I think that's part of it, obviously. But like, for instance, it gave suggestions in our dossier that we worked up, like personalized Friday night feed. So open the app, an AI comedian jokes about your week, instantly transitions into a restaurant recommendation where you and your partner appear as actors in a romantic scene, right? Endless wardrobe scroll, videos of you trying on outfits at Milan runway, so on and so forth, the apartment tours, synthetic friend groups. Your friends feature a cast of AI friends debating sports scores, tagging you in challenges, celebrating birthdays, and personalized video message. Kid mode. This is something I thought about and I thought it was really interesting. So I put it in there. This could potentially be somewhat of a solve for the unpredictability, assuming we can solve for that for AI with video, about, one of the big reasons, other than screen time and the other things going into that you're not necessarily going to have a young kid on like Instagram or whatever, is obviously because of adult content. Well, you can imagine some sort of social version of this that's Sesame Street themed, Bluey themed, name something that a child would be done. It could be fully educational, but it could still be this like sort of kid version of a social media app where it's still for a version of one. Now, there's probably a bigger conversation there on the kid side about whether you would want to do that as a parent or what are the values of that. And I think that's a bigger conversation, but more to the point that if it's AI generated, you actually probably have more control over the things that are being generated if we get beyond, your basic hallucinations and stuff. And then I just thought generally above all this, I go into like Facebook groups all the time because for the two different cars I have, every time I swap out a car, I join whatever the predominant Facebook group is for that car. Sometimes down to the year. So I have a Hyundai Santa Fe that I bought so I can take all my daughter's friends around. It's a 2014. I already bought it with higher mileage. Instantly in a Facebook group, I want to know, it's got a little bit of an oil leak, burn problem, right? I want to know about that. So I'm gonna have to top off my oil a little often. You guys get it. Well, if I have this social media AI only for one, then I could be also getting the types of AI generated video that's like, hey, Brian, we scoured the YouTube videos and shorts, and here are the 5 coolest things that people brought up about the 2014 Hyundai Santa Fe or whatever, or our other car is a Chevy Bolt, right? It's an EV. Here are the top trending things or whatever, and I'm seeing something that would probably only be interesting to me, or little mechanic things or things I want to work on in my garage or tinker with. So I just wanted to use that as an opening statement of this. I think it's very interesting, but I also think it's not about, oh, let's replace all our AI social and interactions with people and viral moments with this. It's like back to Y Combinator. If the cost of producing AI or AI video goes to near zero and it becomes a building block, what does that mean you can actually do with social media? That's where I'm at on it. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it too, because like I don't know, I think it's fascinating.
Is it social media if you're the only human involved? Like, what is social about this media?
Well, because I think it would, look, we're making it up here, right, Beth? So I don't know. There's no answer here, right? We're literally, it's a hypothetical, the whole thing, the whole show. But for me, I was thinking, well, it doesn't stop it from sharing viral moments with your friends. That all is the data behind it. It's really just the difference of what I see. So is it social in the sense that me and my friends are all seeing AI for an audience of one produced videos, but it's tailored to me as much as it's tailored to my friend, but we're still collectively sharing that social experience.
But here's the slippery slope. So AI can simulate the community and social aspects of it for you and actually fill that role. And I use as an example, there are now in that thirst trap category on TikTok, there are fully AI generated persons, if you will, who are, not only doing it on TikTok, but they're using that as their stream to take people into an OnlyFans that is also all AI generated and monetizing that way. So that's a simulation. It's not real, but it's indistinguishable to the user whether that's a real person or not. And that's the advance of video generation that we're talking about here, to the point where you could be living in a completely false reality. I shouldn't say false, an AI generated reality that's made up of feeds of people that you think exist. Like most of the people that I follow on TikTok for news and information and perspective, I don't know them. I never went to LinkedIn to see if they're real. Well, I happen to see them on YouTube or whatever in some cases, but some of them might not be real at all. And so, yeah, I love that question, Beth. Is it social if ultimately generative AI social media is substantially made up of non-humans? There might be a human behind it, but what you're actually seeing is not human.
And maybe social is the wrong word for it. I don't really know. I think it's the idea of, like, I think the closest thing that we have to this is TikTok, right? Because it's video based. Okay. But I mean, YouTube Shorts, Instagram is a lot of video based now too. I remember when Facebook went through that because it got so much cheaper, right, to upload video. And so we're just seeing the evolution, right? First, you had to have the bits and you had to have the speed in order to make AI even a thing. In fact, I just was listening to Andy Samberg, the comedian from Lonely Island and SNL, you might know him from, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was just doing interviews for a new movie he's in, I think. It's like a remake of The War of the Roses from way back in the day. And anyway, he was saying how the first, I think it was the Chronicles of Narnia one. Oh, no, it was Lazy Sunday, blew up. And he goes, you know what I remember more about that is people were like, hey, there's this thing called YouTube where you can just share videos. And that was the catalyst video that made people wake up to YouTube. And he goes, it's funny how being the creator, how that's what I remember more of it. So all of a sudden that we were like, one day there was just YouTube, and it became really sort of easy to upload lots of videos onto YouTube and share them. And now what we're just saying is, like, it's going to be just as easy in near instant timing and for very, very low cost, low enough cost that it wouldn't matter to anybody to create it, that on my feed, I could have, and by the way, I think, Andy, this is at least my take on it. This whole app idea hypothetical is all AI. So for me, if I'm on this app and I know that's the entire thing, everything is AI generated. There are no real people. But do I care if they're ESPN themed, ESPN created, like they're lending out their rights, their naming rights to it? But I see 3 or 4 AI ESPN analysts who are all talking about Georgia football and talking about the SEC. And then let's say all my buddies and friends who went to UGA too, they're all like, hey, did you see that funny video yesterday on such and such an app? And I'm like, yeah, I did. The only difference is we might have seen the same AI generated video and we're talking about it, and it might have gone viral in that sense, but the video or the lead up or the post after the video might have been slightly tweaked just for me.
Yeah.
That's what I think we're talking about here. And is that social? I don't know.
Yeah. So this makes me think about how real human sports, like team sports that are broadcast, is one of the few real shared cultural experiences that we have now. We no longer, because we get most of our news now through media on the phone rather than watching the 3 main networks like when I was growing up. Like, if the news came out and Walter Cronkite, said something, that was something you could discuss with people the next day, because it was a shared cultural experience. We're losing that in the personalization and balkanization of social media feeds. And the video generation thing that we're talking about here is going to accelerate that. It's going to make it so that what you see and what you believe is very highly customized to you and not really something that is understood by everyone else around you.
I do want to push back on that just a little bit, only to say in the Walter Cronkite era, is obviously the issue there was bias of the media at that time. I'm not saying he wasn't well respected. I know he was. But during the Vietnam War, we know there's history that shows that certain things were shown on TV and certain things were not shown on TV. And it could conflate the issues if not the real story was being told. It was being told through a lens. And if there's only 3 lenses and everybody believes that that is the fact, are we better than like the hyper personalized today, Andy? I don't know the answer to that, but I don't want to assume that it was right or perfect back then either, because only having 3 points of view isn't exactly the right answer either.
Yeah.
No, but
good point. Go ahead, Beth.
If you have 3 points of view, then I have a sense of where I land in the community, regardless of whether I agree with one of them or I have a different point of view, right? Like there are few enough factors that we can have a productive conversation. If there's a ton of different points of view, now we have to work to find our commonality points. But the other piece of this is to remember that the point of social media is in fact to hook you. And the point of hooking you is to make you feel something that will lead to commerce, that you will buy something or you will take an action. And that isn't, I think, good for society. I mean, it's remotely good for society if we have commonality experiences of being hooked and encouraged to buy something. It's not the encouragement to buy something that's good for society. It's that we can, right? Like, oh man, I spaced out and I lost half a day to TikTok, right? Like that is a common, maybe you don't lose half a day, but that it's common enough that we can have that conversation. If it's so hyper personalized, I think we move out of that and we're already forgetting that we're the product, right? Like if you're not paying for it, you are you're the product. You're not the customer.
Good point though. What if you are paying for it? What if it's not a free app?
You're still the product.
No, I mean, right. But like my point is you're at the behold of whoever created the app and their intent was or whatever. But Facebook is famously free for a reason. TikTok is free for a reason because it's not free, right? That's the answer we would give it to. And Beth, I understand what you're saying. And by the way, Gwen is saying kind of I don't want to say she's saying what you're saying, Gwen, but Gwen said, Brian, you're defeating your point. Won't hyper-personalization remove points of view? Well, no. Okay. I think AP News and Reuters are, for me, I'm just saying for me, 2 of the best sources of news that I get from. If this AI created social media, whatever you want to call it, app, this video first as a building block, as we were just talking about the primitive side of it, and they were talking about Y Combinator. If that is pulling in what I think are validated sources of news, how is that any different than when I wake up in the morning and I read 6 or 7 different AI newsletters, and between them, I come up with my point of view on that? So I don't know that it's necessarily hyper-personalization in the sense that, only put Brian's blinders on. I see it as like, no, actually, just because it's AI produced on the end doesn't necessarily mean that the content was actually worse for me. It might actually be better. Hypothetically, I don't know.
I think the issue really, or the slippery slope or the danger that we put ourselves in, is to create our own echo chamber, to create our own bubble. If you are not presented with not necessarily directly opposing views or differing views, and from other sources, whether you get so detailed as in, I want, one new source I've never heard of every 3 months, or, you can get nitty gritty with how you fine tune your AI, but the organic or natural way that we share, either through current social media or in previous versions of of media or interaction is whether we learn stuff at the watering hole or the cooler or in a social, down at the bowling alley or at the bar, and we have conversations with people, we have conversations with our friends have interconnecting points. All of those kinds of things help us generate or allow us to start pulling in bits of information, and we have to force ourselves to critically think, oh, okay, well, is that accurate? Oh, that might be interesting. Let me go investigate that more. And it's that process that allows us to have a really holistic view of the world. But if things are fed to you, it's really easy to get lazy. It's really easy to just like, oh, these are the two that sources that I find credible, so I'm just going to listen to them. Well, you've just created an echo chamber for you because that's the only information that you're getting. You have to expose yourself to sources and interactions that may not necessarily align with you, even if it's just ancillary, just so that you can test the water. So, oh, I've confirmed I still don't agree with that side, or this is not my view of the world. Okay, cool. I know that view still exists, and I know those people are there, and I know what's important about knowing who's talking about stuff, but I don't necessarily have to agree, but I know it exists, as opposed to just creating this bubble around yourself where you're just like, I'm only listening to this, so I don't know what's going on outside, or I only have a single perspective of something outside.
There's an opportunity for a generative media like that to be, directed to present diverse viewpoints to you, right? Mm-hmm. Today, the algorithms are all driven by the like button. And, mm-hmm. and if we could amplify that by having a dislike button as well. But you end up liking things that you agree with, right? And then that tells the algorithm to show you more of that. But there ought to be a way in AI-driven media for you to say, look, I want to see the full range. And, even if I say, no, I hate that point of view, that does not mean I want it suppressed. I want to see that. I want to be presented the full range of those things. So the personalization can be in the hands of the user.
Yeah,
right. But it's not. Sorry, Jimmy, go.
I was just going to say, Andy, I like where you're going with that, because my own personal experience on TikTok is I'm fairly eclectic. I like to jump around subjects and things a lot. It's like, oh, I've got enough of that. Now show me something new. But the algorithm doesn't know that. It keeps showing you the next 10 videos, or it downloads the next 10 videos. It's like, no, I don't want to see this anymore. Move on to something new. And I don't want to have to tell you what that is. I want just something different, right? So I don't like being locked into that dopamine cycle. But the other point that I wanted to make really quickly and get your thoughts on is, since Y Combinator was the source of or inspiration for this, what are the main reasons, right? So Y Combinator is an incubator. They want you to develop these companies to explore whatever they think that this has a high potential for profit. So if a social media company or a new platform has AI generated everything for you, then your attention is completely the platforms. It's not the creators, right? Because right now we find creators, that's pushed to us by the algorithm because it helps the platform, make their money. But we find creators that we enjoy their material, whether it be entertainment, news, whatever, our own show, right? But what happens when that step isn't needed anymore? You are fed everything that you wanted to see. You don't need the interaction, or you don't need the creator as part of that, because the platform will provide that for you. If you're just looking for information, platform can provide you information. If you're just looking for entertainment, platform can generate the entertainment for you. You don't need the creator market. You don't need all of these other storytellers to to provide you those elements. Now, would that be a clean transition? No. Do I think that's not an immediate thing? But if your use of AI from the platform's point of view, everybody is getting what you feed them. They have personalization. They can modify it as much as they want, but you're the one generating it. Then why do you need to have a partner program or a creators fund or anything like that?
You don't. I mean, I have a bunch of pushback to that as devil advocate, but I know Beth, you had some thoughts.
The thought that I had when I interrupted before is like 4 blocks ago. But what I will say is when I was prepping for the show, one of the things that sort of came clear to me in terms of my experience is personalization works to a particular level, and then it's not good enough for me, right? So we can have a conversation and you can know that I am in a particular room, and now we're having a conversation about what it's like to be in that room. Then you can see, we can have a conversation about, oh, in that room, I'm over here by the window. We can have a conversation about where I am by the window. When you start to talk about the texture of the chair you think I'm in and I'm not in that chair, I have a completely different experience, right? Like we've moved away from engaging me and helping me feel understood. And that is something that happens for me, at least, over and over again with AI, because I tend to process things slightly differently. I tend to use different language. I have synesthesia, so I use sensory words in ways that other people tend not to. And AI, for the most part, has like gets to a point and then is like, oh, because you're blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, we've had like, what are you? You've been collecting data about me for whatever amount of time. So I do think that there is a place for this where it stops working. Also, like same process.
There are
It just
definitely
gets too far.
problems with the algorithms and personalizations. And I wanted to just go back to the idea of directive input and share this that Jeff Spalding put up there. I'd love to see YouTube and the like implement custom instructions like ChatGPT for my algorithm, so that you can go in and actually provide instructions in natural language about what it is that you really are interested in, as opposed to what caught your eye and then ended up being fed into the algorithm. Yeah. So how do I remove that?
That's why you got to have burner accounts for YouTube, like my family does. My family has a collective. It's an old. When I was doing the added sugar and no added sugar, I own like sugar.com, and so there's a YouTube page, whatever. That's, I guess, public, private. I don't know what it is at this point, but it's what we will log into when we're on our TV in our family. Like if we have a one-off, if my daughter's like, oh, I want to watch like funny fails or something like that, we all know, my wife, my daughter, and I all know, we'll go over to the Sugar account and watch it on that YouTube, because we all know we do not want the funny fails messing with our algorithms. And so, like, if my daughter is on mine or something like that, she's like, oh, I have a funny video to show you. I'm like, go to Sugar, because I'm not. It's funny how you get like trained by these things, right? The algorithms. But basically, I'm saying to my daughter, hey, I don't want your 14-year-old ideas to influence what I get in my algorithm, because I've worked really hard to get my YouTube thing. And there's nothing worse than getting on a tear of watching, my wife and I are going on a Virgin cruise in like next year for our 20th anniversary in May. So it's quite a bit off. Every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I'm curious about the stops in Virgin Cruises, or it's a transatlantic, whatever. Like, but you got to be careful, because then the next 7 videos, if you watch 3, God forbid, the next 7 things you'll be shown on YouTube are, do you want to take a cruise? And like to your point, Beth, like that was an idea. I have moved on. Or Jimmy, you were kind of saying that too. I also want to Gwen made me laugh because she said, Gwen said, I feel like we're raining on Brian's parade. No, you're not. I love the feedback here. I do think I'm talking about something different than you guys, though. I'll be honest with you, because what I keep hearing back from you guys is, oh, but TikTok and like, you got to be careful and all that. And at least for me, in this hypothetical, this thought experiment of a show today, I do not see this as a replacement. I'm not saying AI video is not going to be a huge part of these other platforms. And maybe TikTok will be 50-50 and maybe it won't. I don't know. I am talking about a net new, if social media is not the right answer for it, we'll just call it AI focused building block app. I am not suggesting that it'll be free versus it being paid. I am simply saying I can see a world where I would use an app like this that is all the best of my Facebook groups and the things I care about in my life. And it's whatever, if I happen to be looking for a home that it's capable of showing me what my furniture is like, if that's important to me. I'm not a big fashion trend person, but for my daughter, I could totally see how she would like it to be able to show her wearing different clothes, which some of these tools like Snapchat can already do. I'm aware of that. My point was to say, what are the opportunities and the possibilities, both positive and negative, of an AI only? And what I think, what I listen to Y Combinator, back to your point, Jimmy, you say like, well, who's getting paid and who's the collaborators? Well, first of all, just because I like the AI stuff does not mean I like less human creators less. I do not see that as an either or type thing. I never have. I don't understand that with art when people go, well, I can just create it on my thing. I just saw a TikTok yesterday. It blew me away. The guy creates art with a typewriter. He creates full cityscapes and now does them in color. He does the entire thing through typewriter, moving the page up and bending it to make lines. I have never seen anything like that in my life. Would not care if AI could recreate that entire page looking like a typewriter did it. What impresses me is there is a human who is creating amazing artwork that I can buy the prints of or the originals for a couple thousand and hang it on my wall and go, that speaks to me. I don't think an app that this future app type thing or whatever, despite the fact that it could generate 1,000, would make me feel any differently about that creator or wanting to share or support them through a Patreon or many, many other ways. No different than our show and how people come in and support us. I don't think just because AI could create it on this app and make 4 avatars here talking about the same topics, that somehow lessens the experience of being here with us. To me, it's like both. It's not one or the other. One does not replace the other, unless that's something that you want. So is there a rabbit hole where you slip down and you're, to your point, Jimmy, and you're like, well, everything is AI created and my world and my reality are a little blurred? And could it be dangerous in that way? Yeah, I guess. But I also just don't think it's an either or situation.
I think there's a couple of things there. Number one, everybody's only true currency is time, right? So that's why it's all about attention grabbing. It's about attention holding, and as much of your a person's attention is going to equate to X, Y, and Z, right? So if this was a standalone app, I think it's just a matter of will it draw more and more attention. So I think I think maybe what I'm imagining is that if this is extremely popular, like just how TikTok was hugely popular, eating up a bunch of attention of people from other platforms, it's going to draw them in and they're going to spend more time. I mean, TikTok, like Andy said, 4 hours of the day, that's a good chunk of time, right? And if it feeds more and more into your, the things that are going to trigger the good juice in your brain, you're going to want to do it more and more. Now, based on the premise you laid out, I see the potentials and the things that you're highlighting as part of my personal AI assistant. Go grab all of that stuff from my Facebook group. Go ahead and present to me a video that talks about X, Y, or Z. Go ahead and form my schedule for the day. I need to brush up on topic X. All right, cool. Here's a lesson with your video and all those kinds of things. And we can see the elements of that in all these various applications now. So it just needing that extra layer of, this is the kind of stuff that I want to see, present something for me each day or each week or anything like that. Sure. And if this becomes an empowering move where it's, hey, assistant, do this for me, and now I'm in control of what my engagement is, great. I think the slippery slope stuff that we really talk about is any kind of platform whose goal is to grab your attention as opposed to you spending your attention the way that you want. And I think that might be the root of where we're looking at for these social media platforms. So anything new would compound on that. But yes, they could certainly they could certainly be a both. I think that implementation and how we interact or how we use the both, that'll be the important part, right? If I have my weekly update from my AI generated sources, cool, I've got that. Then I can go and expound upon that or critically think about that. And if I have control of all the levers, like having the the custom GPT instructions, if I have that level of access and control, then it becomes an empowering source as opposed to just trying to suck up my time, suck up my attention. And I think that for me anyways, that's the crux of it.
So I think I agree with that, Jimmy. I really appreciate it. And for me, I think the subtext of what we're talking about is, as I am empowered, it is currency that I can use with other people. And that's the piece that I feel is disconnected, at least for me in this context, right? So like, I am empowered, I am informed, I have all of this. If it does not translate to my ability to connect with other people around this, whether it's written, whether it's like in person, then it's like self currency, it's self lie currency in a way, right? One of the things that you've heard me say is that I think a great use of AI is to use it to expand your own brilliance. What that means is brilliance other people can also see, right? It is not to make you feel brilliant in a way that is entirely your own experience, right?
Well, why
It's
though?
about making you, because
Why does it have to be something that, like, if my expending my own brilliance makes me in a simple way more capable of fixing my own vehicle for my family, but I found it on the AI app and it was a fully AI generated video, I don't get it. I don't get how that
is automatically, you said, in a way that fixes it for my own family. So there's automatically a connection to others in that. If you expand your own brilliance and are told, and you feel like you can fix the vehicle, maybe you even feel like you did fix the vehicle because it said when it was fixed, you would connect these two things and that light would turn on. If it does not translate into your family actually being able to use the vehicle, that personal sense of brilliance is not, it like has personal value. You had dopamine or whatever, but it doesn't translate into your having an advantage in engaging in a world that is not solo, in a world that is occupied by other people. And in this case, your family who thought the vehicle was fixed.
Yeah, I guess I mean, honestly, Beth, I'm trying to think of the alternative that than what you're saying. So what would be in your mind on this hypothetical app? I agree. We're shifting. I get it, because we're changing. We're making up the rules as we go here. So it's a little shifty here. But in your mind, like, what would that be? What would I be consuming on this? Like video at an instant, like, or no, the better word for me would be just in time video. So as I'm scrolling, a video is being created in the background, because I think we have to jump ahead enough time for people to realize that, at least in my brain, I'm talking about instant video creation. It did not exist when I started scrolling, and now it does. It's that fast. It's that good. It may be nearly indistinguishable for real life. So let's just put that out there. Like, so what would be an example, Beth, of something I would be consuming in this way that I guess doesn't add to brilliance that other people could see?
You're colorblind and you don't know it, right? So as stuff gets given to you in a way that you are consuming, and it reinforces, yes, those are how those colors, those are the clearest colors for you, and therefore you conflate that with the clearest colors to other people. You are consuming and doing all of those things, and you are co-creating, and it's brilliant, and you go out into the other world and other people see more colors than that. You have misunderstood because it's been personalized to you, and it absolutely was personalized to you.
So it
And
didn't
if you
it
know
didn't
you're
bring in a
colorblind,
worldview then. It didn't bring in a worldview. It only brought in whatever matters to Brian, is what you're saying in that case, right?
right?
Like, is
And
it like
didn't
it actually is confusing things for me because now when I go out to the real world, they don't line up anymore. Is that what you mean?
you're under the impression that your experience is more common than
Right,
it
okay.
is.
I got you. I got you. Okay, that makes sense.
It's super helpful if you know you're colorblind. You have that conversation
Sure.
like, hey, just change the colors for me because I'm not getting these others. But we will also, like then at the end of it, if you say, so this whole thing, this was all about pink as the new color. I never showed you pink, right? Like just to clarify. I showed you where it is in this context. I'm not colorblind. I probably got all the shit wrong. Sorry. But add your own things in that.
I mean, I get the pushback, I guess, on this, the concept of it. Now, I mean, look, near instant, near zero cost AI video that's indistinguishable for human. I think we all could agree that that's a foregone conclusion of some point in the future. I just don't know how far away that is, but at some point it becomes so cheap that on my feed to produce and show me 1,000 different created videos. Let's say 50% of them are created in the background and they're just queued up, but they're never shown to me because the algorithm's trying to figure out, maybe I want to see that next. I seem to be on a thread about, the news of the world or sports, right? And they've partnered with, or I've agreed to allow the partnership of ESPN. The app comes to me and says, we have a partnership with ESPN. And if you say yes to that, if you agree that you would like to see ESPN, you're going to see ESPN style created AI avatar generated, whatever, about the sports teams that you care about, blah, blah, blah. But it's going to be like Sports Center. But, I'm not a huge basketball fan, so maybe a little less basketball. I mean, honestly, if it's me, I'm going to be like, I could do Sports Center without any NBA and be really, really happy. But I know plenty of people who would feel absolutely the opposite about that and be like, you're nuts, Brian, right? Yeah, I get it. Or like, I love college football. You just leave the United States and people go, college what? Like, it's not a thing. When I tell my friends in Australia that we can bring 95,000 or 110,000 people into one stadium to watch a college football game, that's an amateur game. And people go, that does not make any sense to me whatsoever. It would have to be football, soccer, right? Or something like that. So I get it that it's like different to everybody, but I don't know. There's just something to this. I get why Combinator, and yes, Jimmy, they are motivated to invest in things they think are going to be popular. They're motivated. They want to invest in things that they think are going to hold our attention, that could bring market share away from Facebook and TikTok and all these things. I mean, look what happened to Facebook. Just look at your Facebook feed today and look how much it was influenced by TikTok's algorithm. I mean, it's insane. Facebook isn't Facebook anymore. It's totally different. Facebook will show you things the exact same way TikTok does. And you have to go to your friend's feed if you literally want to switch the type of feed you get. Because otherwise it's basically TikTok. It's like, we think you might be interested in these groups that you've never been part of. It's like, why are you showing me this? That was never a Facebook thing. Well, the writing was on the wall and they had to adjust to that new algorithm just in time type stuff. What's really fascinating to me is once you can do that with AI video at the same exact speed and cost, like now
Right.
what happens?
But that's like the perfect that's the perfect framing, because Facebook has always been Facebook. It's just that it can hook your attention potentially, not you personally, but the general attention with this versus the individual stories. And part of the reason that this is relevant for our conversation as a daily AI show is because Facebook's business model is still chugging away just fine, right? Like, and it has nothing to do with how much they're not cannibalizing their own business model the way that YouTube is, right? YouTube has to like figure it in the YouTube. Google, owner of YouTube, yep. They have to keep in mind that their deep pockets are because of something that is going away and that they're running towards to make it go away. So they have to like move in this direction. Zuckerberg just spent like a third of the world's actual value, and I'm making that figure up, to create his dream team, in part because he's going to make that again, right? Like that isn't, he has a different business model. But I think Facebook is always Facebook. It's whether we continue to be the ideal consumer of Facebook. Right?
Do you guys think that, since you brought up Zuckerberg and they changed their name to Meta back when they had a huge push into the metaverse, and I don't know, is maybe the judgment's still out on whether the metaverse is a thing. But my take is, if you can build near indistinguishable or indistinguishable AI video at a moment's notice, have you leapfrogged metaverse concepts? If gaming, it's not part of the show, I think it'd be its own other show, but if you don't need gaming engines anymore, because we've seen versions of where the game is being created at the time as people move in first person view, and maybe Jimmy's version of that game looks different than mine. I guess I'm not a gamer, but I guess that's the idea of it. You don't necessarily need a gaming engine the way I understand it behind that. Like, isn't this sort of the leapfrog over the idea of the metaverse? In other words, if I can create video, I can probably create 3D video. If I can create 3D video, I could probably create 360-degree video in terms of me spinning around. If I can do that, can I just put that on my glasses, as Andy, you said in the intro? Can I just put that as an overlay, as AR, onto my world and overlay the whatever, the advertisements, the whatever it is on the world that I'm in, where you're no longer really in the metaverse at this point. You're in your world with the AR overlaid on it. And if my glasses can process, if I'm wearing these glasses and I turn and they are able to process net new video that never existed before, that overlays on my real world, where would the metaverse even exist in that? And like, to me, this is like the replacement for that, because we've leapfrogged over the idea of needing to be in a virtual world that maybe looks more like Minecraft or Roblox than it does the actual world. And it's some hybrid version of that. And so I could see where this idea of his video generation as primitive, even adding to that area too. Whether that has any place on this app, I don't know. This hypothetical app, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to talk about, human preference for authentic real world realities. And one of the things that is just true about my entire life is that while I've actually been involved in the business of video games and virtual reality, I never found the time and attention worth spending in those fantasy environments. Those weren't that interesting to me. And I have always thought of human storytelling and, whether that's in a book or in a movie, but representations of potentially real world situations as opposed to phantasmagoric, depictions of some alternate reality. Those things don't intrigue me as much as, oh, this is real and that's real emotion, and I resonate with that. It's an extension of my personal experience, and I don't really have any personal experiences that are, sort of hallucinatory and fantastic. So does the creation of an artificial set that's indistinguishable from reality, does the ability to create that just ultimately fail because I still have a BS detector when it comes to AI? Or, I feel jilted when I suddenly discovered that the thing I've been spending time and attention, my precious time and attention on, turns out to be all simulated and AI generated. I don't want to go there. Why? Because we have so little time to actually be involved in the real world. Why displace that into the artificial world? And isn't what we're talking about in this fully native AI generative media feed, as opposed to a social media feed, isn't that the antithesis of what I feel driven to pursue in my life?
I think it sounds like more efficiency to me, but that's just me. I think it actually opens up my ability to spend more time with humans by making my time more efficient for the things I need to consume, in a way, hypothetically. I think, Jimmy, you kind of like seem, I think you had a good point with like the idea of the personal assistant. I think maybe in my vision, in my head, it kind of maybe is in there where it has enough data to pull in the things that matter to me. I probably waste a lot of time, even in AI alone, poking around and having to look for resources and different things that are necessary for me to do my job that I would like to get back. I would like to not have to do that. And yes, it's not social media, but okay, it's an email, it's YouTube, it's over here. I guess YouTube's maybe social media, sort of. It's in all these disparate, different siloed type of different places. And that wastes a lot of my time, you know?
So is it
the
is it really
idea
kind
of an app that would not do that? And also I know it's all AI, so there's no like bait and switch. I know the entire thing is AI all the time. So I'm not shocked by this. I know it's all AI. I signed up for that. So, but like I could see that actually saving me time. But I also see the slippery slope that Jimmy pulled up too about like, but what if it just captures you and now you're in that damn app for 12 hours a day? You know, where's the end of that? I don't have the answer for that part of it, but I actually do think it could save me time potentially, depending on the app that's built. I mean, I'm not the creator, so
but what you're describing is an information gathering assistant. And if today your TikTok feed is mostly about informing you as opposed to entertaining you, then
for me it is.
Yeah, then I think that vision of the fully AI native information feed is a good one. But that's not what gets people addicted to social media. It's not the information value typically. There's a bunch of other stuff that's preying upon emotions and outrage and it, you know, in reality today, a lot of divisiveness, as opposed to connection and human compassion. So I'm nervous about the AI native thing pursuing those directions as opposed to the let's have a more fully educated and informed population by using AI tools, both audio and video generation in real time, to present truthful and useful information, which is what you're seeking in your assistant, Brian, rather than the stuff that's divisive. Like, you know, a feed that the algorithm, you know, presents to you that gives you horror stories about vaccinations.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
That, you know, that's not helping the world.
Yeah.
That's,
And it wouldn't show up in my feed, right? Like I don't care about it, right? Like
right.
I think you're, so what you've convinced me of, Andy, is what I'm going to do is I am going to build this. I've decided, another $1 million idea. And I'm going to call it Rome or Your Roaming Empire. And it's going to be geared towards middle-aged men who have random interests in random topics. Like, what's your Roman Empire? I'm going to get the rights to Rome If You Want To by the B-52s. And that's going to be the theme song for it. It's going to be called Rome.ai, as in you're roaming, but it's going to be AI generated. And it's just going to be geared towards, you know, people like me who do have like a weird obsession with just learning new things and could care less about any of the drama. It's drama free is what I'm trying to say. It's a 100% drama free, fully AI video generated app. So yeah, you're helping me narrow down my scope here, Andy, which I really appreciate. You're on mute, Beth.
Isn't that the science feed on TikTok? Like if you just go beyond recommended and now you're in the
it's supposed to be, but it's not. and the STEM feed is not you have to turn it on, and it's not your FYP, unfortunately. But
yeah,
I'll leave that there.
Yeah, the other piece of this is just in the beginning, we said the cost of AI and AI video is coming down so much that this will be a business model that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not coming down so much that it's like sunshine that gets turned into energy in a plant. There is still a cost, and therefore the business model is based around your attention. What is it? What can it create in holding your attention that is translatable into commerce?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. I think it's about time to wrap the show. That was a great discussion. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody in the stream over there in our chat stream. Very interesting commentary and tangential directions. We always love to try to bring those in. I wanted to invite you guys to join us again Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific time. We're live then, and we are also on YouTube just afterward. Then you can see all the history of our now 500 and a dozen shows, right?
21. Today's 521.
521 show, a couple of dozen. So thanks to Beth, Brian, and Junmi for joining me on this day. And don't forget that Wednesday we'll cover all the latest and greatest news in the world of AI. And go to thedailyAIshow.com and sign up for the newsletter there and look at some of the past newsletters if you can. Do we have a facility that lets us look at like last week's newsletter on the website?
Not on our website, but you could technically look at our newsletter on the web. That's a roundabout answer. Not on the website, but it does exist on the web.
Really? How is that? I'm just curious. How do you see it on the web? Is there a URL that you go to?
Yeah, there is.
that
If
hosts our
you sign up
newsletters?
for the newsletter, you could actually open it up in the URL and in your web browser. And if you do, it actually show you past episodes there, or past issues, I guess it would be, of the
Oh,
newsletter.
I've
So
gotta
they
try
are
that.
actually
That's good.
It's an option when we publish every Sunday. That's an option that we're able to do. So yes, it is out there. You can go back and read all 61 issues of the newsletter if you so chose.
Very good. And if you did, you would know a lot about AI because we've packed a lot into those newsletters. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Aloha.